I saw the Getty images of the pillow dropping behind the skirt, and I thought at first they could be photoshopped.
What just came out of Buckingham Palace is the kind of thing you'd expect in a soap opera, not real life. According to sources close to the royal inner circle, there's now an official demand for DNA tests on Meghan and Harry's children. Yep, actual DNA tests. Not for fun, not out of curiosity, but to settle a question that most people assumed was already answered. Are Archie and Lilibet really their biological children? That sentence alone sounds crazy, right? But this isn't just tabloid nonsense floating around Twitter. This demand is said to come directly from behind palace walls. And the reason? Allegations that Meghan may have faked her pregnancy with Archie. Staged, fabricated, acted out like a performance for the public. What we're talking about here is not some lighthearted conspiracy. If true, it could be one of the biggest public deceptions in royal history. But before we jump into whether any of that is real or not, let's break down how it even got to this point, because this didn't happen overnight.
But instead of lying to the world, why not just say, we want a baby, we're having a baby, and we're using a surrogate?
Whispers about her bump changing shape, her walking around in stilettos during her third trimester, and squatting in ways no pregnant woman normally would. At the time, those whispers were brushed off. People were told to stay quiet. Don't be rude, don't be insensitive. But the whispers never really stopped. They just grew louder. Now, fast forward to today, and it's not whispers anymore. It's a full-blown demand for proof. A royal DNA test request isn't just rare, it's unheard of. Royals don't do this in public. They don't air their family drama like laundry on a clothesline. But something behind the scenes has clearly pushed the palace past its breaking point. And what could possibly trigger such an unprecedented demand? The trigger wasn't some sudden suspicion. It came from a review of historical footage and records. Think photos, videos, timelines. Everything about Meghan's first pregnancy was reportedly revisited. And let's just say, the deeper they looked, the more cracks they found. Inconsistencies, missing records, contradictory statements, things that just didn't make sense. Here's where it gets even more intense. According to certain royal sources, there's no official record of Meghan delivering Archie in any hospital under her name. Nothing signed off by royal physicians. No public documentation that aligns with what was claimed at the time. This is wild considering how documented royal births usually are. There are typically photos, interviews, a statement from the doctor, or something. But in this case, a big suspicious blank. And let's be clear, using a surrogate is not the problem here. Plenty of women around the world choose that route for legitimate personal, medical, or emotional reasons. The issue is the cover-up, the alleged lie, the version of events that was sold to the public. If a surrogate was used and Meghan and Harry had just been upfront about it, the conversation would have been totally different. But if they pretended otherwise, if they built a brand and a public narrative around a pregnancy that never happened, that's not just misleading. That's manipulation on a global scale. Don't pull that rubbish at the holidays because people aren't buying it. And remember, this isn't just about two celebrities. These are people tied to the monarchy, a system that thrives on bloodline, legacy, and tradition. So when questions arise about the legitimacy of that bloodline, it shakes the whole foundation. The public wants answers. The palace wants certainty. And at this point, Meghan and Harry might not have the option to stay silent anymore. The royal family isn't new to controversy, but this one cuts deeper than usual. At the heart of it isn't just Meghan or Harry. It's about what the crown represents. The monarchy isn't built on popularity or a modern image. It's built on heritage, bloodlines, and legitimacy. That's why this DNA request feels so different. It's not just personal, it's institutional, and that makes it a much bigger deal. King Charles, now firmly seated on the throne, has reportedly been quietly reshaping the future of the monarchy behind the scenes. He's said to be focused on trimming down the working royals, tightening protocols, and protecting the crown from any further embarrassment. The last thing he needs in the middle of his reign is more chaos tied to his youngest son. But when the question of succession and official royal roles came up, so did something else. Who exactly is in line for those roles? That's when things reportedly took a sharp turn. Because if Archie and Lilibet are to be included, and that's what triggered the palace's review of the past. The pregnancy photos, the hospital reports, the public timeline of Meghan's journey as a mother. What they found, or rather didn't find, is what's lighting this fire now. missing hospital documents, no physician records, and most damning of all, reports of confidential documents obtained by royal advisors that suggest Meghan might have never physically carried Archie at all. Instead of a record confirming her delivery, insiders say the palace found nothing. No hospital name, no signed-off document from royal medical staff, not even a trace of standard maternity procedure, which is highly unusual for a family that documents everything down to the last bouquet of flowers. The absence of this proof is what's now being interpreted as something more than forgetfulness. It's being seen as a possible cover-up. And the public? They're not holding back anymore. Old clips have resurfaced online. Videos of Meghan's baby bump looking noticeably different within days. Memes of her squatting gracefully in heels with a belly that seems to shift shape like a movie prop. People are openly calling it bizarre, unnatural, and yes, fake. Social media is having a field day with side-by-side comparisons, slowed-down footage, and commentary that's more forensic than funny. But what's getting lost in the viral noise is the seriousness of what's being alleged. Because if this wasn't a genuine pregnancy, then we're not just talking about deception. We're talking about a deliberate rebranding of a royal birth into a public narrative, a story of triumph, diversity, and breaking old traditions, all built on what might have been a staged event. And it worked. Meghan and Harry received global praise, sold-out speaking tours, book deals, Netflix specials. They became the royal rebels everyone rooted for. But if that, Harry, for his part, is in just as deep. He's been the loudest defender of their story, cutting ties with family, blasting the media, and painting a picture of a couple under siege. But if he knew the truth and went along with it, the damage to his reputation might be beyond repair. This isn't just a scandal anymore. It's a test of royal integrity, personal loyalty, and whether the palace will finally force the truth into the light, no matter the consequences. Pressure is closing in from every direction. The palace, once known for its silent dignity, has dropped the gloves. Royal insiders, former staff members, and even commentators who used to tiptoe around Harry and Meghan are now openly demanding clarity. The message is loud. If the children are to be part of the royal future, the truth needs to be on record. No more speculation, no more curated interviews, and definitely no more selective storytelling. One senior aide reportedly summed it up bluntly. They've had years to set the record straight. If they won't do it now, the institution will. That's what's at stake here. Not just family ties, but the integrity of the monarchy itself. The titles, the honors, the roles, none of it can exist in limbo, and certainly not under a cloud of deception. For an institution that has survived wars, abdications, and divorces, this moment might be one of its most awkward yet, because it's not dealing with external threats, but a mess created from within. And here's the catch. Meghan and Harry's silence isn't working anymore. What used to be interpreted as dignified privacy is now seen as calculated avoidance. Every day, they refuse to address the DNA request. Public doubt grows. To many, a refusal is no longer a personal choice. It's an answer in itself. And if they do comply, the results, whatever they may be, will carry enormous consequences. If the DNA confirms Harry as the biological father, it won't erase the deception allegation, but it could take some heat off the children. It might reestablish a sliver of legitimacy in the eyes of the palace, but if the tests suggest otherwise, if there's even a hint of contradiction, then this isn't just a scandal. It's a crisis of royal identity, a constitutional mess no one is prepared to clean up. This escalating drama isn't contained to the hushed halls of power. It's a global spectacle playing out across news feeds and living rooms worldwide. The royal family, often perceived as an unbreakable symbol of stability, is now facing a challenge from within its most intimate circle. Every move, every non-response is being dissected. The public, fueled by both genuine concern and a touch of schadenfreude, is demanding an undeniable answer to a question that cuts to the very core of royal lineage. This isn't just about public relations anymore. It's about precedent, about the very foundation upon which centuries of monarchy have been built. The reverberations of this alleged deception, if proven true, would not only tarnish reputations, but potentially reshape the future of the British crown in ways few could have imagined just a few years ago. The tension within the Windsor walls is reportedly palpable. Royal staff are said to be walking on eggshells, aware that any misstep could ignite an already volatile situation. The traditional, stiff upper lip of the monarchy is being strained to its absolute limit, replaced by a desperate need for clarity. It's a game of high-stakes chess, with the legitimacy of future heirs as the grand prize. The palace's strategic leak of this DNA demand indicates a shift from passive observation to active enforcement. They are no longer waiting for Harry and Meghan to come clean. They are forcing the issue, pushing them into a corner where silence is no longer an option, and evasion only fuels the fire of public suspicion. Consider the potential for wider implications. If the allegations prove true, it could set a dangerous precedent, inviting scrutiny into other aspects of royal life that have traditionally remained sacrosanct. The very concept of inherited privilege and royal duty, often accepted without question, could come under intense public debate. This isn't just a family squabble, it's a potential constitutional crisis disguised as a paternity dispute. The ripples of this truth, once revealed, could extend far beyond the immediate players, touching upon historical narratives and future expectations for the House of Windsor. The world is watching to see if the fabric of the monarchy, so carefully woven over centuries, can withstand a tear this profound. The pressure on Harry and Meghan is immense. Their carefully constructed narrative of victimhood and independence is now under direct assault. Every podcast interview, every television special, every public appearance they've made since stepping back from royal duties now carries a new, unsettling subtext. Was their defiance truly about freedom, or was it a calculated maneuver to escape accountability for a deeper secret? This DNA demand casts a shadow over their entire post-royal career, making their past pronouncements seem disingenuous and their future endeavors potentially moot. Their brand, meticulously built on authenticity and relatability, risks crumbling if the foundation is revealed to be a meticulously crafted illusion. Furthermore, the legal and social ramifications of such a revelation are staggering. While the UK does not have a formal written constitution in the American sense, the unwritten rules and conventions that govern the monarchy are deeply ingrained. A deliberate deception regarding the direct line of succession could challenge the very principles of inheritance and legitimacy that define the royal family's existence. Public trust, already eroded by various scandals over the decades, would plunge to unprecedented lows. It's a gamble with generational consequences, a move that could forever alter the perception of the British monarchy, not just within the Commonwealth, but across the globe. The palace's decision to pursue this DNA test is a testament to the severity of their concerns. It signals a shift from internal management to an undeniable public confrontation. This isn't about saving face, it's about safeguarding the future of the institution itself. The crown, in its enduring symbolism, represents continuity and authenticity. If the lineage is called into question at such a fundamental level, the very essence of what it means to be a working royal, or even an heir, becomes clouded. This is the ultimate defensive play, a desperate measure to protect the sanctity of the bloodline that underpins their entire existence. Behind palace doors, Prince William is said to be livid. He's reportedly furious at the damage being done to the family's image and legacy. Princess Anne, ever the no-nonsense royal, is rumored to have called the situation a disgrace. And King Charles? Word is he's devastated. This was never how he imagined his reign beginning. Caught between love for his son and duty to the crown. But more than that, he knows how fragile public trust is right now. And he can't afford to lose it over unverified bloodlines and Netflix narratives. The most heartbreaking part? It didn't have to be this way. If Meghan had chosen honesty, if the story had been about strength, choice, or even medical complications, the public likely would have stood by her. People are far more understanding than they're given credit for. But by turning a private journey into a polished fairy tale, and then possibly faking parts of it for public consumption, the backlash has been inevitable. Now the royal institution is drawing its line in the sand. The message is crystal clear. No DNA, no titles, no proof, no place in the fold. It's harsh, it's cold, but in the eyes of the monarchy, it's necessary because the future of the crown cannot rest on blurred truths and sentimental PR. The world is watching closely. Whatever Meghan and Harry do next, whether they submit to the test, deny it outright, or try to spin it once again, will shape how they are remembered forever. As victims of royal injustice or architects of their own downfall, the answer might come down to one swab, one test, and a truth that can no longer be hidden behind palace gates.